Right, so this is the front garden food forest, and it's a little overgrown today, and I've left it that way purposefully because we're going to do something called chop and drop. So a lot of these plants that aren't particularly good for this garden, we're going to chop, and then we're going to let them fall to the ground, and they'll help to retain moisture, and as they rot down they'll provide fertility for the soil. So there's all sorts growing in here. I mean, there's some gooseberries there, and we've got the apple tree, plenty of apples on. Inside there's various berries and rhubarb. So we're just going to get on with the chop and drop, and we'll come back to you shortly. Okay, so we've started chopping and dropping some of the plants that we don't use, and we've started cropping some of the fruit from inside this micro food forest. So we've got some rhubarb there, and we've got some pink gooseberries, and just looking at the apple tree, and the apple tree is doing really well. Incidentally, this was purchased from Aldi about 7 or 8 years ago for £4. And some of the newer plants that have arrived in the garden, which this does happen all the time, you get new species arriving on the wind. I'm not quite sure what this is, but the bees have certainly been spending quite a lot of time on it. And over here we've got the plum tree, and it's only the last 2 years really that this has started to sort of show some fruit. Last year there was around a dozen plums on it, and I think what it is, there's a chap round the corner who has a plum tree, and I think it's possibly down to some of the pollen from his tree making its way over here. But every year from this particular little whatever you want to call it, micro food forest, there's quite a lot of resources comes from it. I mean, over on that side there, I don't know if you can see through the gap, there's we've got willow there, crop willow every year, use that for crafts, sell it on eBay sometimes. There's about 7 or 8 different types of berry in here. There's raspberries in here, although not many. I think that's a fairly new one if I remember rightly. There's 3 or 4 large crops of rhubarb. There's loads of nettles in here, which I use for nettle tea early in the season. So as I say, it's a bit overgrown at the moment, but this is why we're out today dealing with it and doing the chop and drop. But this whole thing probably cost around, over a 5 or 6 year period that I was adding stuff to it, it's probably cost about £30 if that to do. And as I say, we do get loads of resources off it, and it's in the middle of a council estate, and here's what some of the other gardens look like, where there's just nothing growing at all. But this one sort of sticks out really in the middle of the avenue. There you go, give you a bit of context. And then this side of the garden is flowers and shrubs and stuff. Also highly beneficial for nature and for pollinators. And I've just spotted a bee over here in one of these poppies, so I'll just say good morning to this little bee and wish it a good day. So we've got a cosmere there. Seems to be a bit of a native really to this part of Lancashire. And then at the back here, I think I might have mentioned this before on a previous video, a lot of these shrubs that we've got right at the back that we don't actually get a crop from, they soak up a lot of water because this garden's on a slight incline and we're in the north of England and it rains a lot. These shrubs help to soak up quite a lot of the water that comes down, and keeps the damp out of the front of the house, out of the walls. So yeah, this is the back bit of it, and in some ways we're quite lucky to have this, because even though it's sunny at the moment, this garden doesn't get a great deal of sunlight over the day. I mean, it's 9:30 at the moment, and the sun will probably be gone in about an hour. There's the willow that I mentioned. The willow's been here for about 7 or 8 years. There's not a massive amount of it. I think I put about 10 cuttings in, but all the same, valuable crop. Also a bit of a useful windbreaker as well. So there you have it. This is a short tour of a micro food forest garden. So I'm going to carry on cropping these lovely pink gooseberries here, which I'm probably going to make jam out of, and then I'm going to go into the back garden later and do some of the jobs there. And I must remind myself over winter to prune this apple tree down a little bit, as it started touching the telegraph wires, the phone wires. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back soon. Look after each other, take care, over and out.